What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Flip the Switch podcast. I'm sure many of you know, maybe some of you don't. I'm running across Canada, so I'm going to be starting April 1st. We're doing 75 kilometers a day for 99 days. I'm raising money for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So for this episode, I kind of just had friend of the show, Matt Warner, had him come on and kind of just ask some questions that we thought a lot of you listeners might have. We kind of talked about like the last 6 months, what we've been up to. About halfway through the episode is when we get into talking about me running across Canada. And let's get into the episode. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Flip the Switch podcast. I want to give a shout out to a sponsor of this episode, Sport Wheels. Sport Wheels Sports Excellence is more than just a sports store. They go above and beyond in the sports world, specializing in bikes, hockey, lacrosse gear, shoes, and anything else you can think of. I know when I was a kid, I got all my hockey gear, my baseball equipment, everything from Sport Wheels. It's a staple in the community. It's been around since 1947. Message me if you're interested in receiving some discount cards. Now let's get to this episode.
Today, I'm joined by a special guest, Ryan Keeping, a guest on his own podcast.
I know.
Welcome, Ryan.
I needed Warner to ask me some questions that I'm sure a lot of you would want the answers to. So I figured Warner, he's been on the show before. We did one of these, like 6 months ago?
Yeah, back in July.
Yeah, we did one a while ago.
Just before the Nova Scotia Marathon. That was a blast. And then we did the JFK vlog, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so you guys all know Warner. He's on my stories all the time too. So I'm sure anyone who follows me knows Warner.
I'm on Ryan's stories when he forces me to run, so that's most days.
The one with the porta potty?
Yeah.
I have to put that in the video.
Yeah. Wow, that was bad.
Too funny.
That's tough. Tough look for me.
Every
But
Strava, I go
true.
and run with Warner. Every time I post a Strava picture, there's always a porta potty I put as the picture.
Yeah, I've been better lately. I've been better.
Yeah, you're getting better at it.
Yeah, went and saw some people. We figured out some stuff.
Yeah. Luckily, the porta potty's right in our route, though. So.
I know. That's for a reason, though.
Yeah, we lucked out.
Yeah, so back when we talked right before the Nova Scotia Marathon, your goal was to win it.
Yep.
And what happened?
Second place. Last year, I did a lot of coming in second. A lot.
As Cody would say, ladies. But, you ran a very good race that day. What was your time?
258, I think. My PR is 250. I know I PR'd in Fredericton. I think 256. Pretty sure 258. It was sub 3.
Yeah, correct. And I believe it was around there as well. And the first place guy was...
Wes York. I think that's his name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who is a track star at Ohio State on a full scholarship. So there's no shame in coming second. Really, when we run these races, we're running against ourselves. And I'd say that day you succeeded.
And the cool part was he was there with his dad, and his dad was biking behind him, and I was also there with my dad biking behind me.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to see, like, I know him and my dad were talking back and forth and stuff, and it was cool to see his dad there as well.
That's awesome. No. So post Nova Scotia Marathon, was it a month before the Capes 100?
Yeah, probably, because I know Capes was like mid-August.
Mid-August, right? So 3 to 4 weeks. And how did that go?
Honestly, really good. I mean, first, I'd ran probably at that time, I guess, maybe 300 milers, but nothing in a race. So, I mean, I went there, probably was underprepared, had a backpack that was 4 times the size of anybody else's backpack. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I think I came like 7th or 8th, and I know I came first for the 20 to 29 age group. And, man, I gave my best, and it was honestly a really fun race, and I can't wait to go back one day. And, I mean, my goal is to win it eventually. So
yeah,
I can't do it this year, but probably the year after.
For sure. And you talked about being underprepared, and the 20-pound backpack.
Yeah.
What was the consequence of having a 20-pound backpack on you?
So I don't know exactly the consequence. Like, what I said to people is, I wasn't like, if I took the backpack off, it wasn't like I was going to win.
Well, that's not exactly what I meant. I meant the physical consequence.
Oh, I mean, my back was really, really chafed. I definitely had too much, but when I was going there, they gave this big list of all the stuff you need. So I bought everything. I was super prepared. It was kind of funny. They never really checked for anything. I think they checked for my phone once, but still, I could have packed everything in a smaller pack for sure. But honestly, before that race, didn't really do any trail running. I kind of got to the point where I was I don't know, a month out, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to run on the road. So it was a great experience, and I mean, should have had a smaller backpack. I'll have a smaller backpack when I go next time. But honestly, also the reason for running on the road so much is because I knew what was coming up. I knew about running across Canada over a year ago, so that's why most of my miles are on the road.
Right, for sure, and that is totally understandable. And I guess a lot of the ultra community, they didn't really understand why you took that approach. And I know that there were some people that doubted you before the Capes 100s.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to kind of dive into what people's doubts, how that fuels you? How that fuels you?
Yeah. So there's different types of people. I know Warner, he wants to hear good things. Like we're running, he'll tell me to say nice things to him. I'll tell him he's got great hair. I'll tell him he's got good, nice looking eyes.
He usually lies.
I'll joke around with him. Or like I'll say, hey, like you're about to finish this marathon. Your brother's there or your little nephew or something, right? With me, I need an enemy. And most of the time, it's not anyone in particular. I just make people up. Or it's like, I remember watching the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yep, the Michael Jordan effect.
And it's like, well, I didn't even have anyone to say anything negative about, so he just made them up. He's like, oh, you hear what that guy said? And it's like complete lie. So for me, yeah, like I anything negative, like when someone says I can't do something, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get it done. So I love when people doubt stuff like that. And also, whenever you're new into doing something, of course people are going to have doubts for you. You know, by that time, I think I'd only been running seriously like
a year,
maybe a year. Yeah,
just a year.
But I mean, yeah, I love doters.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess for me, somebody who signed up for the Quebec Mega Trail 100-miler, which is a little more technical than the Capes 100, I have a few questions for that. What is your best advice for me, somebody who hasn't completed 100 miles yet, who's signed up for one?
Best advice? I mean, I would say personally for me is to not overthink it. Like, go there. You know that this pain is going to come. You know it's going to be incredibly hard. And it's one of these things where as long as you just take the approach of trying to stay in the moment, one step at a time. If you're hurting, go slow. Take a break. Do whatever you can. But never let the idea of this isn't going to get done cross your mind. Because really, to finish an ultramarathon is friggin' amazing. So like for me, that would just be stay in the moment and don't overthink, oh my God, I got 100 kilometers left. How am I going to do this? Just try to stay present.
And when you get to the line at kilometer 0,
yep,
what goes through your mind?
Honestly, like for me personally, I love it. Like I have figured out that this is what I'm meant to do. So I don't know if my like opinions would be like advice for the average person. Because for me, I'm like, I can't wait to feel this pain. I can't wait. Hopefully this is the hardest thing I ever do. And I love that. And I've realized like,
are you calling me average?
I don't know. we'll find out. We'll find out, right? And it's like I don't know everyone's mindset, which is a hard thing to talk about. But it's like, for me, I don't really get nervous. I just am excited. Maybe.
Do average people finish 50 miles?
Average people can do pretty crazy things. Honestly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, my last question is, what are the essentials for a 100-mile race?
I would say the essential for me is just your mindset.
Right.
Like, this is going to be phenomenally hard. No matter what you do, it's going to be really hard. You need that mindset of, I am not going to quit. This is going to get done. Especially you have good days, you have bad days. Really, the number one thing you can control is your mindset. And if you can stay positive, if you can stay in the moment, not down on yourself. You see so many people, I always say, like, they'll go do something really hard and then they'll kind of almost get sad. They get so far in and they're almost like the task is so big and they kind of get down in the dumps. The biggest thing you can do, man, is stay positive. That's why I'm always hollering and joking around and singing. I'm just tricking myself to stay positive because I mean, you're going to do it. It's going to be hard, but as long as you can stay in that good mind frame, you're golden. You're good at done.
For sure, and that mindset certainly served you well. Throughout your journey thus far. So moving on, we went to the Valley Harvest, and we both competed in the Valley 50K. I would have won, but I had a little disadvantage. I ran a marathon 2 weeks before and flew all around Europe. I'm just joking. I wasn't going to win.
Food poisoning.
And I had food poisoning the week before.
He
I
definitely
forgot
would have
about
did
that.
better.
I forgot about that.
But he still crushed you.
Yeah. No, I talked about this on my interview, and we just got it done. I showed up. We got it done. Wasn't the best result, but I'm super proud of my mentality that race. However, I'm interviewing you. That day, we showed up. It started raining. And I know how you're going to answer this question already. But what was your reaction when it started downpouring right before we started?
Man, when I checked the forecast the day before, I was pumped. It's the surge energy, man. Straight up. Like, I love training in these bad conditions. You go to these races, everyone has the same conditions. So I've trained in so many of these storms and snowstorms and hail and whatever.
Hurricanes.
Running a marathon in a
Wildfire
hurricane.
smoke.
Carrying a log, running a marathon. Like, just crazy stuff. So, like, I love it. Personally, oh my God, I was pumped.
So that day, you finished with a time of 3 hours and 43 minutes.
Yeah.
And you finished in
second place, baby. Woo!
Again.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
So, that was a super good race. Who was the gentleman that won?
Ian, I don't know how to, Lougheed, I think, or
He's a
Lougheed.
fantastic runner.
Yeah,
And,
fast, man.
Yep. Both of you gave it your all that day. Fantastic showdown. But what was the best part about that race and the worst part about that race for you?
Honestly, I would say the best part is seeing all of Run Club. Like, there were so many people from the Run Club we go to, Bedford Run Club. Like, I remember finishing and maybe being a little down in the dumps, like, oh man, I wish I won, or why do I keep coming in second? But as soon as I started seeing everyone finish, and there was people crushing it, like, man, how many people were down there? 20, 15? A ton of us. So
at least 15.
That's probably the best part for me. And the worst part, I don't really know what the worst part was, honestly.
Finishing in second.
Yeah, I guess finishing in second. Yeah. In the moment, you're upset. But then, I mean, I went as hard as I could possibly go. And, like, still, I competed against a guy who's been running his whole life. He's a phenomenal runner. And, I mean, I'm just getting started in this stuff. And within the next, I don't know, say 2, 3, 5 years, whatever it is, my goal is to win every race around here.
Yeah.
Every marathon, every ultra marathon. And really, this is just a step getting better. That's my
possible.
PR. So, yeah.
It's certainly possible. No, that's fantastic. And it was really great to have all of Bedford Run Club there. It was a lot of team spirit, if you will, and just a lot of good vibes that day. So even though you finished second and I finished a lot slower than I would have liked to with all of the circumstances surrounding that, it was such a fun day, and I'm super proud of both.
It was cool too because there was way more people that ran the 50 that year than the year before.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would like to say some of the work we're doing at Flip the Switch is promoting this, right? And that's why there was probably, I bet, 5 or 6 people there wouldn't have ran it unless we promoted it, right?
Yep. Shout out Zainab, crushing the 50K, first overall finisher in the female division. So way to go, Zainab. And moving on, the next event, JFK 50 mile.
JFK.
So what was your goal prior to the JFK 50 mile?
So I wanted to come top 50, I think was my goal.
And you finished 52nd?
56th, I think? Maybe?
No, I'm just joking. You finished 64th.
Did I? Yeah, okay, 64.
With a time of 7 hours and 39 minutes. But let's just back it up a little. Who was all there?
Oh, Warner was there. Cody was there. It was an amazing experience. And I think I ran, how much faster than the year before? It was significant, whatever it was.
It was 2 hours and 4 minutes. You finished 7 hours, 39 minutes. And in the previous year, you finished in 9 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, within a year, you can't complain about that. And I mean,
not at all.
Seeing Warner there, I met him right when I was done the JFK the first time. And the first time I met him, I said, "You're coming to the JFK the next year." So that was cool to see him there.
That was pretty cool.
His first, I guess you did the 50K, but his first official, real big ultra to go to. And Cody was there too. We all crushed it. That was a ton of fun, man. That was a really good
Certainly.
weekend.
And that ultra marathon, the JFK 50 mile, has so much notoriety. So it's a huge honor.
It's the oldest ultra in the States, I think.
It is.
And it might be, I don't know if it's the most participants. It would have to be up there. Oh, there's 1,000 people.
I'd imagine, but I don't know. I'm not well versed in the participant list.
It would have to be. It would have to be. I would imagine.
I would also say that it probably is myself. So in terms of how you raced that day, take us through kilometer 0.
Yep.
Halfway through the mountains, then once you get out of the mountains, we'll start there.
So kilometer 0 started pretty crazy. We barely made it to the start line. So I was like kind of back farther than I wanted to be. So I'm like sprinting ahead to get up to where I need to be. And I think before I talk about the race, like maybe a little underprepared, but at the same time, like I'm filming content. We didn't have a crew member there. So there's all these little things where like eventually when I want to be elite and I want to try to win these races, like you need the crew member. I shouldn't have been driving. Like someone has to almost be there and babysit you.
That said, it's all part of the experience because like we know today that you're not winning the race.
No.
And it's great to have people like myself and people like Cody there, because when we go back, we're not so like worried about like, oh, like what hotel are we staying at? Like, where is the race? Yeah. How are we going to get to the start line? How are we going to finish the race? Yeah. Like just like the little things that when you accumulate experience, like those little worries just go away and you're just more focused on the race itself and being more prepared for that race. Yeah, I can certainly vouch for that. We were definitely, all of us, very underprepared for
that. I remember during the race feeling really good.
Kilometer 0?
Kilometer 0 through the mountains. I remember the whole time I was in the mountains, I was feeling really good. I think I ran that basically exactly how I should have. I would have liked to have been able to switch shoes. I had my trail shoes on, and then once you get off the mountains, you're on just crush your dust path.
Yeah.
So that would have been nice, but I had my trail shoes on. I mean, I think when I came out, I went a little bit too hard. Now, I don't know if I paced myself more, how much that it probably would have been pretty even anyway. I know I slowed down a bit at the end, but like I definitely could have paced it better, but I think I might have saved 10 minutes.
For sure. And I can, for someone who's less experienced in the ultra community and ultra running, that was my first big run. I was very thrilled with how I ran that, but I can say that having a change of shoes from trail shoes to the carbon plated running shoes was a complete game changer. Like,
especially like you're not used to using those trail shoes on the road anyway, so it's completely different, right?
And like I could feel a blister forming just after I got out of the mountains, and it was like, man, like I'm so thankful for this this pair of carbon plated shoes. So again, like that's probably 5 to 10 minutes right there with a carbon plated pair of shoes. And again, that's something that when you go back next time to hopefully finish in the top 5 or even win it, you'll have a crew member there with a pair of
next time shoes. I race that, I will be in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I definitely a goal of mine to win eventually. But I mean, with all this stuff too, it's like I went there and I went as hard as I possibly freaking could. I finished and I was wrecked. So it's as long as you do that, man, I don't care if I would have took 2 hours longer. As long as I give everything I got, I'm happy, man.
Exactly. And as we said at the start of the interview, like these races are us versus ourselves.
Yeah.
And that day you crushed it. I crushed it. Cody crushed it.
We all killed it, man.
Yeah. So, most people would say, Ryan, 2023, like, you ran 26 hours on your birthday. You ran 156 for Canada Day. You did the Blue Nose too.
I think I did 6.
The Fredericton Marathon.
600 miles in 6 months over the summer, I think. One of them was 156K, so it wasn't quite. That was the Canada Day
just
one.
Under 100 miles.
Yeah.
And you also did the Fredericton Marathon.
Yep.
We talked about the Nova Scotia Marathon, the Capes 100, Valley 50K, JFK. Most people would say, what a year. What a year. But not Ryan.
Not most people.
Not Ryan.
No.
Ryan, why don't we talk about the Ho-Ho 200K?
Yeah. So when I originally started running, the first real 100K I did was a charity run that I put on called the Ho-Ho 100K. Raised money for some children and youth-based charities. And then it's a yearly tradition now. So this year we did the Ho-Ho 200K, which was my longest race at that point in time. I think my longest other than that was 167. I think that was my birthday run. So yeah, 200K. And I mean, I think we raised $3,200. I dressed up like Santa Claus. I ran around a 1.4 kilometer loop over and over and over again. And that day was amazing because there was I don't know, 10 people that came out and ran ultra marathons. There's so many people. The support was crazy. Like, just to see this community we're building. And most of us are relatively new to running and we're young. Like my sister, like 19. We had people 21, 22 coming out and running 50K. Like, it was really, really cool. And I was happy with that too, my race, because I really felt pretty good until 170K. Like, I ran 100 miles in sub 24 hours. I was feeling good. Now, with anything, when you do it for the first time, you start to get that uncharted territory and it gets hard. But still, like, mentally, I was great. Slowed down a little bit. I think it took me 30, maybe 31 hours to get it done. But
it was 30 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So with that, you raised how much for the Ronald McDonald House?
$3,200.
$3,200.
Yeah. And that, like, that's a
amazing.
great foundation.
It's amazing.
Like, man, the peace of mind for people coming from out of town, their child's in the hospital, to be able to stay there. I don't know how much they save per night. It's like $500 or something. Like, no hotel, they feed them, all this stuff, right? So, like, I couldn't do it for better cause.
Exactly. And, like, obviously we talked about how running is us versus ourselves, but if you can also impact the community, you're doing a really special thing. And I think what you're doing, not only is it inspiring in terms of like your personal goals, but getting out there and helping the community, it's just...
Well, the thing is, it's so easy to do both because selfishly, I'm chasing my best. I'm always pushing it. But then it's so easy. Like, when people see someone giving their best or doing something that's really hard, it inspires them. And then for one, they're more likely to donate money. And for two, even if they don't have money, they can come out and run with me or just watch my stories and get inspired.
So with that said, we talked about all your races. We talked about all these like crazy challenges you do. Marathon with a log.
That's
200K.
8 hours. Yeah. The log's 55 pounds.
Like, for people who see you on Instagram, carrying a log on Instagram, screaming in these videos, woo, and doing all these crazy things. And like, I guess I have a few questions related to that because, why do you feel the need to run with a log and scream and put it on Instagram?
So my thought process on that is everything I'm doing, I want to motivate and inspire people. One day I want to have millions of followers, and not because I want to have millions of followers to be this cool guy. I want to change the world. I want to change people's perspective on what they think is possible. I believe I have a unique way of doing things that has to be shared to people. So when I'm doing this, part of me understands, like, okay, someone sees someone run with a log. Maybe they'll think that's a little crazy, but you got to get out there. People need to see you. They need to check out your other stuff. So I'd be running with the log anyway, even if I wasn't in public. So why not do it in public? Someone drives by, maybe they watch, they check my story, like, who's that guy? They check his story. Okay, they watch my other stuff. Then they follow. Then they're out there. Then 2 months later, they're running with me. So it's like a lot of that stuff is just, you have to get your name out there.
For sure. So what I'm hearing is that, like, you want to, like, as you said, you want to inspire others.
Yep.
You want to help the community.
Yep.
But the biggest thing for me that I took away from that is you are not afraid to be yourself, even if it draws criticism.
Yeah. Well, so many people live their life terrified of what other people are going to think. Once you realize, like, fuck it, man, just be yourself, you're never going to be happier. And also, when you go and you do these things and you're loud or you set out to be the best, like me coming on here, hey, I'm running across Canada, I'm doing this, I want to raise all these money, I want to have 1 million followers. When people see that, it can rub some people the wrong way. It's like, some people will hate it, some people will love it, but you don't want to be in the middle where you're not going to break any boundaries or you're not going to say anything. Like, I'm just being me. And people love it, people hate it, and I don't really care.
So you know what, like, and I absolutely love that. Like, that mentality has rubbed off on me, a year and a half ago, a year ago, like, I never would have envisioned myself even taking this on, trying to interview you, just being myself unapologetically. And it's very inspirational that you are being unapologetically yourself. But my next question is, how did you become this way? Like, was it how you were raised? Like, were you just always this way? Like,
you know what's crazy? Like, I'm a pretty introverted person in my whole life, even like high school or stuff like that. Like, I was always pretty introverted. I always kind of kept to myself, had a small group of friends and stuff. But I was always, when I did physical activity or did sports, it was almost like I was a different person. So it's like my upbringing, like my dad always taught me, work hard. Try your hardest, you win. Every time. So like I remember him showing me Terry Fox or him showing me Steve Prefontaine or all these people, like super inspirational people. So I always had that aspect of like I could flip the switch sports wise. But I think since I've realized like this, I'm so friggin' passionate about this that I have no problem being extremely extroverted about it and talking about it, and I'll go do whatever, talk in front of a big group of people. Like I just don't care because it's my purpose. I'm so invested in it.
You're obsessed.
Yeah, just obsession
and
with
love.
it. I guess a lot of the times when I look back, thinking about maybe being an introverted person, it's almost like a lot of things in life, like mundane things, I feel like I'm designed for more. Like I always want to be chasing something huge. And sometimes it's hard to share that with people because a lot of people are small-minded. So it's like I have these crazy goals. And sometimes like daily conversations are like, oh, I'm excited to watch the new series on Netflix or like go to the movies or go get a drink. Like these little things, I just have no interest. So that was almost why I was quiet, or that was why I kind of was that way. I just always had these friggin' huge dreams.
So it sounds like when you were younger, you realized that you were not really like quote unquote normal.
I'm definitely different.
you were different
Yeah.
in terms of like the societal norms, in
100%.
terms of your interests and what you would do on your weekends. So when did you flip the switch from being like introverted into like basically who you've become through this part of you that you've developed running?
I guess like in my life, maybe I didn't have that many people who were doing crazy stuff. Like I didn't have that many running friends. I didn't have that many people that had the same intensity or passion that I had. And I think man, honestly, I remember one day just being like, okay, you're 25 years old. Like you're in a part of your life right now where the next 5 years is probably going to go by pretty quick. Right now, don't have crazy responsibilities. I don't have kids. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have any of these things. So it's like, this is the perfect time. And I kind of just knew like, I almost knew I wanted to do this without knowing I wanted to do this. Like when I first started making the videos, it wasn't so much to do this, but I think it always kind of was.
So it sounded like you were internally manifesting something, but you just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, almost. Because I remember being like, okay, I am going to run a sub 3 hour marathon. I'm going to run 100 kilometers. It's going to happen within the next 6 months.
So when did that happen? Like before you started running?
I remember like, I always ran a little bit. So I ran like the Blue Nose in like 3 hours, 45 minutes or something. And then I don't know. I was always watching David Goggins or Cam Hanes or these people doing crazy things. And I just said, you know what? This is me. I want to do that. I want to see if I can get as good as these people. And then through that, within probably 3 months of doing it, and I started posting videos and I started being more loud and stuff. I just realized like, this is it. This is my life. I remember telling you, I'm like, anything I do right now, like any job or anything is just temporary. My life is going to be inspiring people.
You decided that you were going to start developing this part of you that's Ryan, the ultra runner.
Yep.
So how would you say you have grown that part of you that's running as a person from July of 2022 to today?
Oh, I mean, as a person, like everything I do, like you're putting yourself in this situation. So you might as well do the best at it. And it's like now I don't put myself in situations where I'm not going to do the best. There's situations before where I was probably just pretty mediocre because I just didn't know what I wanted. And now it's like so laser focused on that I grew as a person in a way of like knowing what I should do and always doing that. Where before I didn't really have that, you know, kind of just floating around. And now it's like, man, this is it.
Yep.
Boom. I know what I'm doing.
And I mean, we've been friends. We've been friends for, I'd say, about 15, 16 months now. And I can certainly see a difference in your confidence.
Yep.
And you're someone who's very caring about your friends and your family.
Yeah. And like seeing people like Warner like get better because being around me, fuck, that feels good, man.
Yeah.
Seeing progress of like
100%.
This guy went from running a 10K to now he's going to run 100 miles.
Yeah.
Or like there's other aspects of his life. Like he's at work crushing long hours, like it's nothing, not even complaining. And then he'll come run with me and be like, this is awesome. I love being busy.
Yeah.
And that's, oh my God, that is cool to see. And I've made so many good friends too, just
Through running.
from being myself and running.
100%.
Man. Oh my goodness.
I could certainly vouch for that too. And there's just so many people. We won't name drop everybody because we could go on for days. But there's just so many people that I'm like, wow, I can be unapologetically myself around these people. They're all such good people. They're all good vibes, and it's crazy how like just kind of meeting somebody at the right time. Where, you know, we just got into running and we kind of just grew together. And with Cody too.
Just all got better together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that said, like we kind of talked about the running part of yourself, somebody who's very passionate, driven, focused, with a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, those are all the ingredients to be an athlete that couldn't go all the way.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Ryan on a day-to-day basis. No running, just who you are outside of running. How would you describe yourself?
Outside of running?
Yes.
I mean, I run so much.
Outside of running. Like, we went to Montreal together. Like,
well, honestly, I would say me running and me not running are pretty different. Now, there's some aspects that are probably similar, but like I definitely can disconnect from the running side. I'm not always woo scream like no, man.
Exactly.
Like, I'm pretty quiet. Like I'm not just some fucking meathead. You know what I mean? As much as
you are.
As much as I'll
not outside running.
As much as I'll make jokes and stuff. Maybe I'm a meathead when I run, but like I do like to think about things, and I like to think about my life and how that it matters, and I like to think on my decisions and how I do things and how I go about doing things, and like every little decision, like I definitely think a lot about what I do, and everything has a plan. I'm not just out doing something without a plan. Like everything I do, I'm thinking a couple steps ahead. I'm thinking, okay, how can I do this? Okay, this might help this person. Okay, this can go there. Oh, if I make this content, okay, so I'm always thinking ahead. So I definitely, maybe overthinker would be a good word, but I'd rather be an overthinker than an underthinker.
For sure. And what are your interests outside of running? Not running.
Being around friends. I love the outdoors. Anything to do with sports, I always love. Traveling. I love to travel too. I love seeing new places, meeting new people. Yeah, definitely traveling. Like now that I think of that, I really, really do enjoy traveling. And then, I mean, other than that, it's not so much what I do. I like the company. Like I can go do whatever. But as long as I have the right people with me, I just like being around good people, good vibes.
For sure. So let's move on to the big news.
Yep.
So you are running across Canada.
But before you say that, I think when you're asking me about my interests outside of running and stuff, I think I just love doing extreme shit.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I am happiest when it's
a challenge.
When it's a friggin' challenge. Like when I'm like, there's nowhere I'd rather be when I'm 80 kilometers into a run and it's friggin' raining and I'm by myself. I'm like, that is actually what I enjoy doing.
What is the feeling?
It's just, you only get this body once. You can only do things one time. And I want to get the friggin' most out of it. So I want to do things that other people wouldn't even think to do or would give up. I love the aspect of knowing like, man, this is hard. Not a lot of people would stick this through, but I'm going to do it.
So let's, before we even go to the big news.
Yeah.
What does your nutrition look like?
So currently, I mean, I friggin' eat whatever. I run so much that honestly, my nutrition isn't that bad. I live with my grandparents. They cook me really good meals.
Yep.
But sometimes you just got to pig out and eat a pizza or eat something like that.
Nothing wrong with a pizza.
No.
Or a burger.
So it's like I run so much that maybe my nutrition could be a little better, to be honest. But when I first got into the running and stuff, I just took the aspect of like, I don't want to friggin' overcomplicate it. Some people think so much about, if I eat 28 grams of carbs and this much protein, like, yeah, it might make you like fucking 0.1% better or 1%, something small.
Yeah, it might cut your body fat by like 0.5% or
there's
something.
all these little things that people worry about. It's like, I did this or a bit. But the main component is just put in the work, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not. I would say that you're not somebody who's caught up in the scientific aspects, in terms of nutrition. And I do think personally, I really think they do serve a purpose, and that they can really assist you in your goals.
And I do agree with you 100%. And eventually, there's going to be this point where you almost plateau, and then you got to tweak, change little things. Well, and I know that point is
There's
coming.
An example of that. Ken Rideout. I saw a video on Instagram.
Yeah.
he talked about he ran like a 3:20 marathon, and then just by running, he got down to a 2:33 marathon. And then you hit insane.
Then you hit this point where it's like you're just trying to shave seconds off.
Yeah.
And then it's like tweak all these little things. But currently, I'll just keep getting better doing what I'm doing, and
which he did. He dropped down to a 2:28 using the scientific aspect of things after he, what I would call, improved his running economy by just running everything.
I think a lot of the sciencey stuff really comes down to the point of like people are always looking for these little shortcuts. They're looking for, if I eat this or if I did that, or if I maybe I can run less, but if I do it in a more specific way, like, oh, I can run 4 days a week, but it's really tailored to this. They think that it's going to make this huge difference, where that is the small part and the actual doing it is the big part.
I mean, I don't agree in terms of this, of like people, you know, like there is probably some truth in that some people do want to take shortcuts, but for other people, they probably believe that is what would work for them. And if that's what works for you, then go right ahead.
Oh, 100%.
I fully respect that. But that said, yeah, there is a little bit of truth in, you know, you just got to get out there and do it. You just got to put the running shoes on,
just go
put the head down, just get out there and do it. But, I mean, there's no one way to do it.
No, everybody's entitled to their own way.
That's right. You're entitled to your way.
I like my way, and if someone wants to be the full science way, go for it.
Yep, exactly.
All welcome, man.
I'm all on board.
Everybody's so different, and I believe everyone's unique, and they have to do, like, everyone almost has this X factor of like what makes them them.
Exactly.
And there's certain things that make you you, and do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Be you.
100%. And what does your recovery look like? Run.
I'm running 25 hours a week right now. When I'm running across Canada, it's going to be, I don't even know how many hours a week.
So in terms of stretching, massage gun,
so
what do you do?
I mean, I roll out every day. I stretch every day. Definitely could stretch and roll out more, 100%, if I'm being honest. But I mean, I massage gun all the time. The crazy thing, like I've never had a massage or went to Cairo or any of this stuff.
I would absolutely love to hear what they have to say about it.
When I go, maybe it'll make me even better.
I would love to hear what they would have to say about your body. I would just love their initial assessment and hear the results of that.
It's hard for sometimes it's hard for me. I'm stretching and I'm like, I want to be running right now.
yeah.
It's hilarious, man.
So the best part is like, to be completely honest with you, the question I get most about you, you know, obviously it's like, what's he like? Is he as crazy as he is on Instagram? But it's like, what is his like sleep and nutrition look like? So what about your sleep?
I think I'm that rare 0.00001% of people that don't need much. I don't know. I think I'm just a high functioning person, I guess, or high strung, or I don't know what it is, but man, I'm telling you, like when I did that 4x96, I might have slept maybe an hour and a half a night, and by the end of it, I was buzzing. I felt amazing. Everyone I was with was exhausted, and I'm like, I fucking keep going. Let's go. Woo!
That was crazy. Yeah. And Ken, I just another.
But I think it also comes. I'm so fucking passionate. I got so much I want to do, and I'm so passionate that I can't sleep.
It's very easy to see that like you're so passionate about it that you almost have a hard time expressing how passionate you are.
Like sometimes I sit in bed and I just think about where I want to be in 5 years and how I'm going to get there. And I'm thinking, well, sleep isn't going to get me there.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, like these 10 different things I got to do and my mind's racing.
So something that's going to be a really big kickstart to your journey.
Yep.
Running across Canada. I can't even believe I'm saying those words. Run across Canada in 99 days.
Yep.
So Terry Fox is your biggest inspiration.
Oh, by far.
So I just want to talk a little bit about Terry, and then I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
So discuss why Terry is your...
Oh, man. Greatest Canadian of all time for tons of reasons. I mean, this guy's like 20 years old, diagnosed with cancer, leg cut off. Everyone tells him it's not a good idea to run across Canada. Everyone's telling him no. He does it anyway. And it's an example of a guy, like, in life, you can make a freaking huge impact, and it doesn't matter how long you live. You could live,
especially if things don't go your way.
Yeah, like you can live to be 100 years old and do nothing your whole life. This is a guy who died when he was how old, 23 or whatever. But his name will never be forgotten. There's been millions and millions of dollars raised. He's inspired so many people that you say Terry Fox in Canada. Everybody knows that name. So it's a shame that he died, but he did what he knew was right. He lived his life to the fullest when he was alive, and I am sure he was in a lot of pain every day when he was running.
Yeah.
And he knew that he was raising money for a good cause, and he will never be forgotten.
Yeah, there's so many ways that that most people would react to news like that, and it's completely unimaginable getting that type of news at the age that he did. But the way he reacted to it will forever will forever be a legacy in Canada, and he impacted so many lives. So
you don't like. There's certain things in life you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react. And the way that man reacted is incredibly admirable,
for sure. And so let's discuss like there's a cause that touches your heart.
Yep.
Not to be figurative, but also literally.
Yep.
Why don't we discuss why you chose to partner with the Heart and Stroke Foundation to run across Canada?
Totally. So when I was first getting into this and deciding kind of what I was going to do, I was thinking, okay, maybe raise money for cancer like Terry. Now I started thinking of, okay, it was so special for Terry because it was something that was close to him. For me, I started thinking, okay, like I don't really have any family members. I can't really think of anyone with cancer. Like it hasn't really affected me, luckily, to this point in my life. But everybody in my family has bad hearts. My dad, my grandfather, my other grandfather. I have an uncle who had a heart attack. Like there's so many heart conditions running with so many people in my family that I'm like, that is my why. And then also, like, I look at someone like my dad, and me and him are the same. We're very similar, especially with our passion. And
physically too.
Yeah. Like we are very similar. And he had me when he was pretty young. And I'm sure he would have loved to run across Canada or do these crazy things. But man, his life was dedicated to raising me. And then he gets in his 40s and he gets diagnosed with his heart condition. And now I look at him and he's taking it the best way possible. But he can't push like he used to. And I know it drives him crazy because it would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
So I see someone like that, and he's going to be with me for the start of this run. It's so cool because I know he sees part of me, and he's like, okay,
yep,
that's me right there.
Well, I mean, he probably looks to you, and he's like, wow, that's what I used to look like at 25. He has the same fire that I have in his heart.
Yeah.
The same passion. And I mean, but knowing both you and Scott, I know how proud he is of you and what you're doing. Yeah. And it will be really special that you will have him through Newfoundland, correct? Yeah. Newfoundland and Nova Scotia?
No, Newfoundland. And then Gavin, my friend, comes to Nova Scotia. But I'm sure I'm going to try to get my dad there for the end also. I'd love for him to be there. And I mean, one day through doing this stuff, I'd love to retire my dad. I'd love to have him just be my personal friend.
Yeah.
Or like a sidekick.
Professional friend.
Professional, like just with, like, I'd love to have him just, I know he'd go run across Canada with me, drive the van. He loves that, man. So that's definitely a goal of mine when I'm doing this is like, eventually I'd love to have him part of the team full time.
So let's take it back. So you're going to run across Canada on behalf of the Heart and Stroke Foundation. 80% of the funds go to the Heart and Stroke Foundation. The other 20 are to cover your expenses.
My cost,
So you're leaving March 29th to drive up to Newfoundland.
Yep. Get on the ferry, head to Newfoundland, April 1st start.
April 1st, you start in St. John's. So take us through the first 18 days through Newfoundland.
Yeah. Before we do that, I just want to say, like, in doing this event, there's very minimal sponsors. Like I got my shoes, Sport Wheels legends, hooked me up with my shoes. They're giving me discounts on stuff. I know Popeyes had just recently given me some supplements, but basically not sponsored. A couple small ones. Now, in order to do this, I quit my job to train full time. Like in the new year, I haven't been working since the new year. I've been training for this. I took out a line of credit. Like I'm betting on myself to the max. And I want to tell anybody watching this, if there's something you know you got to do, don't look for any reason it's not going to work. Look for that one reason why it will. And that's why I did. And I know that this run is going to be a success because I know me.
For sure.
You want to talk about Newfoundland?
Yes, let's talk about Newfoundland.
Yeah.
I guess you can edit that part out and just slot it in somewhere.
No, I'll put it right where it was.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
I wanted to say that. I'm just like, sometimes you just got to do what you know is right.
100%. Yeah, you do. You got to do what's right for you.
Yep.
And this is your passion. This is what you love.
Yep.
But yeah, let's go to Newfoundland. I want to hear like what your game plan is because to be honest, like I deleted my Instagram, so I haven't seen the videos where you actually posted what you're planning.
Yeah. So head to St. John's, and I know I'm going to be starting at the Terry Fox Monument that they have there. I want to do the same thing he did: take the water from the one ocean, take it to the next, dip my leg in. Same as him. Definitely inspired by what he did, and then from there it's 75 kilometers a day. So I think probably the easiest way is break it into 3 runs, 3 25K runs. That could change, who knows? But that's probably going to be my game plan for the first week or so. I think it's like 12 days in Newfoundland, and just keep running and running and running and running. And really, it's like, I know the first week's going to be hard. I know the first week might even be the hardest week. Day 4, day 5, your body's hurting. It's kind of trying to reject what you're doing, but just keep moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. So do you like have a game plan in terms of like where you're staying, accommodations, like what you're driving, nutrition, who's going to be running with you? So let's start with accommodations.
So we have a van that we're going to be able to sleep in. Other than that, I'm hoping hotels and motels come on board, maybe let us stay at a room for either a discounted rate or free because of what we're doing. Or I'm totally game to go meet some new friends and sleep on people's couches or whatever. But yeah, most of the nights will probably be in the van.
So before I dive into the other parts of the question, do you think that your experience at the JFK, where we were all kind of like underprepared and just kind of winging it a little bit, is that going to serve you?
Oh, definitely. I would say, like, I'm going into this as prepared as I possibly can be. And then also it kind of serves me of like, if something goes wrong, whatever.
Yeah, that experience.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I did it unorganized at the JFK kind of. So it's like, in one way I'm more prepared now. And then another way, I don't know, if we get a flat tire, we'll figure it out when it happens.
Exactly. And so then what about the food?
So food, I got a little camping stove. I'm going to be probably eating like a lot of pasta. Hopefully same thing. Restaurants let us eat there. But yeah, I'm just going to be trying to eat as many calories as possible. I'm going to be burning, I don't know, 10,000 a day. I'm not sure exactly the number, but just stuffing my face really. Get my dad cooking me pasta and eggs and whatever.
And is anybody going to be like doing this run with you? Like I know we mentioned that your dad's going to be doing Newfoundland.
Like people crewing and running with me, or
yeah.
The goal is to always have at least one crew member with me. Now, if I don't have a crew member one day, my plan is park the van, run 10 kilometers up, run 10 kilometers back, drive the van 20. So technically, not running that 20, but I'm running 20. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's worst case. Now, with something like this, I figure I just got to get started. So I assume there will be people with me the whole time because I think this is going to explode. I think we're going to raise a ton of money. I think everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's going to want in on it. So that's my goal. And even if that doesn't happen, whatever, I'll still figure out a way to get it done. But there should be people with me most of the time. Anybody watching this, come run with me. If you want a crew, send me a message.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest point that I heard in there is just get out there, just put yourself out there and accumulate that experience. It might not go the way you want, it might not go the way that you envision, but most importantly, you're putting yourself out there to get it done. We talked about the accommodations, the food, the crew members. So then when you get to Nova Scotia, you're going to run from Cape Breton and you're going to go off the track that Terry ran slightly.
Well, so I think Terry actually came to Halifax.
Okay.
But see, I have a time limit. I'm trying to get this done in 99 days. And a lot of people have been asking me why. Kind of the reason is I didn't know if I was going to have a crew. I didn't obviously I want to push myself 75K a day, under 100 days. It's an amazing accomplishment. But another reason was I had to do it fast because
cost.
I don't know the cost. I don't know how long. So when I come to Halifax, April 18th, I'm going to try to get a whole city running. I want to raise like $10,000 in a day, get a ton of people out. And then after that, technically, I was supposed to turn off at Truro. So it's 2 days to get down here. So I'm going to be driving 150 kilometers past Truro and starting my journey again there because that's where I would have been.
For sure. And then from there, you're just going to keep running across Canada. Yeah. Is there a game plan between, let's say around Amherst, Nova Scotia to Quebec City?
Well, just run. Really, that's the game plan.
So that is the answer. So for a lot of questions that people ask me is, who's going to be running with Ryan? Who's going to be with him at this place, that place?
Luckily, I got my dad for Newfoundland. I got my friend Gavin for Nova Scotia. I think I'm going to have my 2 grandfathers actually coming with me for the New Brunswick portion to like Quebec City or Montreal, which is super cool. They both have heart conditions. I know they're super proud of me. So it's going to be cool to see them there. And then I think, pretty sure my sister is going to come probably from like Montreal to Toronto. I know I have a guy in Toronto. He's going to come for a week after. So there is going to be people with me. But, I mean, my game plan doesn't change. My game plan is run until 75 kilometers is done.
Sure. Yeah. And do you, like, if you're feeling good in a certain day, do you think you'd run more?
I don't know. Now, probably not. I might bank days and then take a lower day. The only reason I'm going to say probably not is because I have it scheduled. So I'm putting my schedule out there where I'm going to be.
Right.
So there's certain people saying, hey, you can stay at my house this night. You can do this. You can. So I kind of have to be places certain times. Now, maybe there's a day I run 90 and then I run a little less the next day.
Right.
But I couldn't, like, it can't be too different just because there's people flying and stuff to meet me. So
for sure,
I got to be a certain date.
For sure. So then from Toronto to Northern Ontario, do you have anybody who's going to be with you?
So currently, no. And I got someone for the first week after Toronto.
Yep.
After that, honestly, I don't really have anyone until the last week.
Right.
My goal is just blow this thing up and have people with me, have the community support me. And I also said, too, this is my dream. This is my goal. Even if I had no one with me, I'm going to do it.
For sure.
I can't expect people to come with me because it's my dream.
Yep.
Now, when people come, fucking amazing. And I got great friends that are going to be there. But it's my dream and it's going to get done no matter what.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how do you think it's going to go?
How do I think it's going to go?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be by far the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I think it's going to be incredibly hard. And I already know there's going to be moments where I'm running and you feel like you're destroyed. I'm going to be bent over like, oh my God, how am I going to keep moving? I know that's going to happen. I'm already fully aware of that. But honestly, how do I think it's going to go? I think we're going to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think I'm going to inspire a ton of people. I'd love to be around 100,000 Instagram followers by the time I'm done. And I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. I'm going to meet so many cool people. And honestly, it's going to get done. And that's the only thing I know.
For sure.
It could go better than I think. It could go completely freaking horrible, but it's going to get done.
For sure. And if it goes well, how is that going to make you feel?
Honestly, if it goes well or if it goes bad, I'll probably feel exactly the same when I'm done. Job got finished. And with all this stuff too, and me, it's on to the next one.
Right.
I want to do this, and then I want to go on to the next one. So
I'll
be proud. I'll be incredibly proud when I'm done. But I'm always thinking of the next step, and that's almost like what motivates me. Is even when I'm doing this, I'm thinking of the next thing.
For sure. And if you raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Heart and Stroke Foundation, how would that make you feel?
Oh, that's incredible. Like that would be one of the proudest moments of my life, man, doing that. Just giving back to these foundations, like research for heart conditions and stuff, man. It's freaking amazing because that's going to impact my family. Maybe one day there's not going to be heart disease, right? And everyone in my family, like a bunch of people are affected by it now. So current or future generations, maybe they're not going to be affected by heart disease, right?
For sure. And of course, have to ask, if you don't raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I mean, how would that make you feel?
To be honest, I'd just do it again. I'm going to keep doing this until it's a success.
Yeah.
Some things go better than others, even if I only raise $10,000.
For sure.
Well, I ran across Canada, and you know what? I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to control everything I can control.
Exactly.
And if stuff goes out of control that I don't have any control on, yeah, whatever.
That's certainly a good mentality to have, because you just gotta stay within what you can control.
Yep.
And what is admirable is that you're not caught up in what you can't control, because like you said, you could raise hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Almost. You could raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you could also raise just like $10,000, which at the end of the day, that is still very admirable and inspirational.
Someone asked me, they're like, what if it all goes wrong and no one donates? I'm like, well, I went broke and ran across Canada. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
And what is cool about that is that you're putting yourself out there, and you're not worried about what other people are thinking, and you're not worried about what's outside.
Here's the thing. I know that in my life, I'm going to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, whether it's this time or the next. Exactly. It will happen.
For sure. And how do you think you're going to hold up physically? Like, what if you don't finish?
So I have a friend who's coming for the end. Scott Cabot, amazing guy. He's a
Beauty.
fellow runner. I know he's
Absolute
going
legend.
to be doing a marathon a day for the 7 days he's with me. He's booking his flights.
He probably did not agree to that, by the way.
No, Scotty did. Scotty did. You know Scotty did. You know Scotty.
No, but I also know you.
Yeah.
He's going to get there and you're going to be like, Scotty,
75.
75 a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway.
But he is a legend. He'll crush that.
To him and he's like booking his flights and he's like, well, Ryan, like, what happens like if you don't make it there? I think July 7th is the day I'm supposed to finish. I'm pretty sure, like whatever day I'm meeting up with him, July 1st or I don't know. He's like, well, what happens like if you don't make it? And then I'm just stuck there by myself. And I said, Scott, I'm going to put it to you this way. If I don't make it there, you've already been to my funeral. Like I am going to push my body. Like I don't care if I have to walk 24 hours a day. I will walk for 7 days in a row until I pass out. And then if I pass out, I'll wake up and I'll keep going. There's like, I'm going to get this done or die. And I believe when you put yourself in that situation, burn all the bridges. That's why I'm putting all the schedules out right now. I'm sure people are looking at it like, how's he so sure he's going to be there? Like day by day, he's going to be there and he's going to be there. I'm putting this all out there so I burn every freaking bridge. I have to get this done. Like I'm pretending. I always tell him one day I want to have a family. I want to have a little boy. I want all these things. I picture myself and doing this. The plane just went down. There's a crash. We're in the friggin' freezing cold. And I got a little 5-year-old son and I'm carrying him. And I have to get to the finish line or he will die. And I literally tell myself that you can't quit, Ryan. Like this is life or death. If you die, you die. But you got to keep friggin' moving.
What would you say to people who would criticize you for saying that you're putting yourself at risk?
Well, I mean, it's my life and I can do what I want to do, right? And they're entitled to that opinion. If they think it's stupid or they don't understand, they're totally entitled to that. And all I can say is it's my life and I'm willing to do that. And it makes me happy and it's who I am. And that's my X factor.
What I want to say here is that I admire that you as a person are not shaken by what other people think.
No, you can't. Well, in the space that I'm in and being loud and having these goals, you can't be because there's going to be people hating on it. And it just is what it is.
But so many people in life are concerned with what other people think. And I think it's really admirable that you are so focused on staying within your lane and controlling what you can control and not worrying about what other people say.
Yeah.
And you are able to discard other people's opinions and you're able to discard your own opinions in terms of how you feel. Yeah. If you're in pain and your opinion is, oh my God, I should stop. Like you're able to discard that and just keep pushing yourself, which is admirable. Some people might think that's stupid, but like you said, it's your life. It's your opinions. This is your dream. This is your passion.
Yeah. And I hope in doing this, it encourages other people to be the same way and do what they want. And you know what? If they want is to not do this, and if they think it's stupid, well, then you told them that opinion.
And for me, just in interviewing you, you can see how passionate you are, that you struggle to articulate that passion and that love because you're just so freaking passionate about it.
Well, that's why I love running because it's just, there's something about running where it's like, how much can you push, especially ultra running? How much hurt can you go through to get to the other side? And that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing of like, man, maybe no one else would be able to get through this pain. Like your knees destroyed, your feet are broken, you can barely move, but you keep going and you keep going and you keep going.
I think I'm interviewing David Goggins, Canadian David Goggins.
No, I'm nowhere near Goggins yet. One day I want to be nowhere near those guys' levels yet.
It'd be crazy when you train with him one day. But
I know, that'll be fun.
What other insights can you give the listeners about your mentality that we haven't really discussed?
It's kind of when I do this, there's two aspects of what I'm doing here. I love the fact that I can motivate the 40-year-old mom to go run a 2K and I'll go run it with her.
Yep.
I love the fact that I can motivate the average person. But then there's also, I love the fact of like, I can also talk with my mentality. And I know there's other savages out there that have the same mindset as me. So it's cool that I can help kind of both groups, I think. So I guess insights to like my mentality is just obsession. You need that obsession. You don't need it, I guess. But like for me, I do.
For you need it.
For me, if I don't have it, it's almost like my purpose in life wasn't fulfilled.
Well, if you weren't obsessed about running, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
In order to be great in life, you need to be obsessed with it and in love with it.
Yeah. So it's like, for one aspect, not everyone needs that, but I like the fact that there might be a young kid listening to this who feels the same as I did, maybe 16, 17 years old, and I can be a role model to them to live the savage lifestyle, and they know that someone else is doing it and they have someone to look up to. Because that means a lot to me, being able to look up to like a David Goggins. You see the video his wife posts and it's 2 a.m. and he's got his socks on her hands and he's running and she's like, there's no cameras out here. He's running 100 miles. Like, oh, that, like, I want to be that to someone someday. So it's just, you need that friggin' absolute obsession and passion. And like everyone can deter, like passion's so easy. Maybe not for everybody, but I know for at least some people, man, there's a lot of fucking passionate people out there. And just, yeah, I love the fact that we can build like almost an army of these people.
For sure. I can certainly say that you've inspired a lot of people around here. You've inspired me. Again, like I said, we could name drop people, but in terms of your long-term goals, where do you kind of like see this going after your run across Canada?
I see myself changing the world straight up. Like I see myself leaving a very big imprint and just changing people's lives. I want to make so many people's lives better. So I have all these crazy goals. Like I am going to be the fastest person to run across Canada. This is not going to be the only time I run across Canada. I'm going to set that record. I'm also going to set the States record. Now, I don't know if that's in 15 years or if that's in 3 years. That's going to happen. But there's just, I want to keep pushing. I want to do 200 miles. I want to do 300. I want to do 400. I want to see how far I can possibly take this. Keep inspiring people. Keep getting bigger. Build a team around me. I want to take this thing worldwide. I'd love to go do a Europe race tour down in the States. I'd love to go to as many different places and touch as many people's lives as I can. Make people's lives better. And I mean, I see millions of followers. And yeah, I see a great life, and I see myself being proud of myself, really.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's to manifest what your goals are. And to be frank with you, I remember running with you probably around this time last year, and this is when you like confided in me, hey man, like I'm going to be running across Canada. And I thought to myself, you're out of your fucking mind.
You said the same thing when I said 75K.
Did I say that?
Well, you're like, no. You're like, are you going to be able to do that? And I was like, we're going to fucking find out.
and you just said, no, I'm doing it. And this is how it's going to go. And it's really admirable and inspirational that you're here. Yeah. You're about to do it. And I can say that I have no doubts you're going to get this done, unless you die. That's the only stipulation.
Oh, straight up. It's like he's either coming to my funeral or he's going to be happy that I finished.
But I guess the question, my next question is like, in terms of raising money for charity, where do you see that going?
Oh, man. Well, eventually I'd love to have like my own non-for-profit. I'd love to help. I'm really passionate about keeping kids active, keeping kids in sports. I'm also very passionate about like,
do you think there's an opportunity eventually to kind of interlink like your passion for keeping kids active and maybe having a not-for-profit for children who are underprivileged?
1,000,000%. 100%.
1,000,000%.
There'll be something to do with kids that maybe come from a bad home and getting them into sports. But then there'll also be something for, like, eventually I want to do mental toughness retreats. I'd love to have a bunch of group of people I don't even know come to me and try to give some wisdom to them, try to put them through some hard stuff.
David Goggins.
Make them a better version of themselves, right? So there's so many different ways I can go with it. But I'm just passionate about helping good people. I want to help people that deserve help.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what kind of help? Physical help, mental toughness?
Well, I believe if you can get yourself physically in shape, that's the number one thing you need to do to have a happy mind, a happy life. It goes into everything. So I think my purpose is the physical side of it, to get yourself to become a tough person who can get through hard things and is in shape.
For sure.
I think everything else lines in from that, but I think my secret sauce would be getting people tough.
For sure. And in terms of, you have all these big goals, dreams, if you will.
Yeah.
What if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't? What if it doesn't happen?
In what way?
What if you don't have millions of followers? What if you don't go across Canada more than once? What if you don't go across the states? Like, what if?
Well, for one thing, the stuff about Canada and the States, like I will get across, like I'm going across Canada again. I know that's going to happen no matter what, unless I'm dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, the followers and the viewers and the money and stuff like that is a little less in your control. I believe it's still quite a bit in your control, but it's a little less. Now, I mean, say I only have 100,000 followers and I only raised 2 million instead of 10 or something, like I've still impacted so many freaking people and I still tried my best. And at the end of the day, I know people that are around me and the people that are in my life are becoming better because they're around me. So really, even if nobody gave a shit, I know that all these people in my circle are getting better and that's worth it too.
For sure. Well, we're kind of towards the end of the interview, Ryan. Is there anything else you want to say to the listeners?
Well, I guess I'd like to say, like, Terry Fox was my original inspiration for this, and I always want to shout him out no matter what. Greatest Canadian of all time. If you're watching this, you don't know who he is, which everyone probably knows who he is. Most of my viewers are in Canada, but if you're from the States, maybe you don't know who he is. Go look him up. Go watch a documentary on him or just something. Go look up his story because it's incredible. And other than that, I don't really know what else I'd want to say other than if I'm coming through your city, I want to see a lot of you people come out. Get a lot of support. If you watch this, share it to your friends. I believe the message is good. I'd love to meet a lot of you. I love meeting people that have similar passions to me. And yeah, I guess that's probably about it.
For sure. And as your friend, I'm really proud to be your friend. It's an absolute honor to have been here to interview you today.
Yep.
And it's going to be funny to look back on this and, my first true interview, we did a little 25-minute, just something for fun down in Barrington or Pubnico and before the Nova Scotia Marathon. But, it's an absolute honor that you're my first interview. And
we're in Warner's basement. The camera is set up on some weird homemade tripod that we did. We don't have proper microphones, so we're talking into our phone. But I think it's amazing, man. We're making the most with the situation we got, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of the Flip the Switch podcast, do you want to update the listeners?
I'm going to be taking the show on the road. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to be doing. It really depends. Like anything will probably just be filmed, I guess, on my phone. It just depends on how I feel, how much time I have. Most of them will probably be solo episodes unless it's with crew members that are with me. But definitely stay tuned. And I mean, we're going to try as many episodes from the road as possible. And I mean, if there's not that many episodes when we're on the road, definitely the show will be back on the road this summer when I'm done. So
yeah, for sure.
Just keep tuning in.
All right, guys, it's been an honor. Flip the Switch.